You are now watching the True Mets Talk podcast live stream. We will be going live shortly. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
Shallow right field, stumbling start for Stewart. It's close to deep left field by Alvarez. He's homered in 4 straight games for the second time in his. He's homered in 4.
What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to the True Mets Talk post-game show. It is 12:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Mets just got wrapped up with Game 1 in Seattle, and they got shut out, according to Gary, for the 9th time this season. 6-0 is the final score. The Mets bats got stifled, as you can tell by the YouTube stream title. Bryce Miller is simply that guy. And before we get into anything, right, we are going to have a little bit of a session. For those of you all who are up, I'm not expecting too many of you all to be up unless you all are absolutely crazy about this team like me and want to figure out what the hell just happened out there in Seattle. Please, if you are here, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you're over on X, come over to YouTube. Come be a part of this discussion. Any questions, all questions are valid because I am also still trying to make sense of what just happened. And if you don't follow me on X and Instagram, make sure you go ahead and do that already. First things first, before I get into anything or anybody in the comment section, we need to have an honest discussion about Adam Ottavino. I'm not even concerned right now with the New York Mets bats. All I want to say about this situation is that this is the version of Adam Ottavino, the true version of Adam Ottavino, finally reveals himself. There is a lot of people in this fan base, somehow, some way, over the stretch of the last month and a half, where Adam Ottavino has pitched relatively well in low leverage situations, right? Still making excuses for the guy. If what you saw on your screen with Adam Ottavino tonight makes you think, and still he has you thinking that he can be an integral part of this bullpen and that the Mets would be foolish to let him go, let's remember that the next time the next batter, like Randy Arozarena tonight, decides to step out twice, 3 times in that bat before the pitch is even thrown because he knows the base runners have an easy bag to steal. It's mind-boggling. It's disgraceful to not even attempt to adjust with the new rules of the MLB, right? That promote base stealing. To not even try to adjust to that is absolutely disgraceful. And I'm sorry, a guy like that does not deserve a roster spot over anybody else that the Mets have currently or that they have coming back from injury. That's point blank, simple, and that's my take on it. So understand he's been great over his last 9 appearances. Understand that he had a terrible month of May. I understand all that. I hear you. He is not pitching on any team. You could put him on the White Sox at this point. And maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, right? Because I'm pissed off. It's almost 1 o'clock. I get it. But any playoff contending team, you can probably ask every single manager on those ball clubs, would you have Adam Ottavino in a tight situation in a close ball game? Answer is going to be no. Answer is going to be no. And we've seen that already from our manager, Carlos Mendoza. On the pregame stream, I stated this bullpen has come a long way in terms of the personnel that Carlos Mendoza has to utilize, right? A long way. Adam Ottavino started off as the 7th inning / 8th inning guy, right alongside Brooks Raley and Edwin Diaz. Where are we at now? Where are we at now with him? Please, someone enlighten me. Make it make sense. Make it make sense for people still defending this guy. Make it make sense. Like I said, I appreciate it. I see 23 comments in the chat. I hope I hope you all are giving me your thoughts about Adam Ottavino. I'm really curious to see what you all have to say. Keep dropping those chats, those comments in the live chat. Hit the thumbs up for me, like I said, whether you're watching live or watching the replay. I understand a lot of people have bedtimes. I should have a bedtime, and I'm going to try to make this as quick and as painless as possible because this was a very painful game. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Always trying to make sense of Mets wins and, in this case, Mets losses. 27 comments in the chat. Shout out Lane, Stanley asking the great question of why the Mets offense can't give Quintana any run support. Got Richard, Daniel, everybody, Junior. Lack of adjustments. Ottavino appearing in a close game, completely deflating the whole team. Stevie Mack saying, well, that was bad. Yes, people did defend Adam Ottavino Jr. If you can believe that people took to the timeline not only yesterday, 2 days ago, talking about how good Adam Ottavino's been in his last 9-10 outings, and that's why he deserves to stay on this roster, it's shameful. And at this point, if the New York Mets make the decision to keep him on the roster just because he's a SNY panelist, right? As Carson puts it, or just because he's a veteran presence, quote unquote, that is malpractice. That is malpractice to this team. And I don't think David Stearns is going to let that happen. He was not afraid to let go of numerous guys in this clubhouse, right? Especially one of the guys that he traded for that was one of his own in Milwaukee, and Adrian Hauser. And Adrian Hauser has been pitching better than Adam Ottavino this season, or at least on par. So, yeah, I'm sorry. Adam Ottavino's days are numbered. Stanley's saying DFA Otto. He sealed his fate tonight, 100%. See, like, you can't waste a roster spot on this team if your manager doesn't trust you going into a tight ball game. Whatever we just saw with the Seattle Mariners just stealing left and right on Adam Ottavino, that's not going to fly anywhere. Anywhere. Salute to Darren. Appreciate the support. I appreciate all you guys' support. If you guys are up here with me this late at night talking about a Mets L, you all are diehards, and I 100% appreciate you all. 100%. This was rough. There's no way around it. Hector, Ottavino needs to go back to SNY, even if today was on the hitting. 100%. Today was on the offense. Today was on the offense. Well, Adam Ottavino, that's unacceptable. Hauser was better. Salute to Hector. Yeah, no blame on Quintana tonight. No blame on Quintana. Let's get into it. Let's just get into it, right? Jose Quintana went out there, pitched his ass off, made one mistake, right? Early on in the game. Second inning home run given up. It was a bomb, by the way. It was a bomb. I believe that guy's second home run of the season is a first pitch curveball that he absolutely turned on that Jose Quintana left hanging. But up until that last inning, Jose Quintana was cruising. He was around the strike zone. He was pouring in a variety of pitches, changeups, right? He loves that changeup. It's his go-to pitch. The curveball, he likes to throw early in the count. And obviously, you have to have some variation of a fastball in today's MLB. So I love the way that Jose Quintana was pitching tonight, and I love his pitch selection. Every single time Jose Quintana goes onto the mound, I'm sorry, I have it ingrained in my head that I'm going to be nervous automatically. But that was a pleasant surprise, and he has put in and turned in a couple of very nice back-to-back-to-back starts. Now, like I said, with this Mets starting rotation, what do I always say? I will say this until I'm blue in the face, 100%. What do I always say? Give me competitive starts. You don't need to wow me. This type of start, it wowed me until it didn't at the end. He was brilliant. Guys, Jose Quintana was brilliant. You can expect, and you should expect, a pitcher to give up a variation of 1, 2, 3 runs. Your offense has to do the job. And I apologize, I didn't update this graphic because the Mets were 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position today, not 0 for 4. And I'll talk about that here in just a second as well. Because we do have to give some credit to the opposition. Bryce Miller was absolutely fantastic. But Jose Quintana had it going on, man. This starting rotation has been solid. And I'm actually really proud with the way that Jose Quintana has bounced back this season after that brutal start or stretch of starts that he had earlier in the season when everybody was either claiming to want to DFA him or move him to the bullpen. One of those two options, because he just simply was not serviceable at that time as a starter. So great job for him. I love the pitch selection. I love the pitch execution. And I said it in the pregame. This Mariners team is missing two of their main guys. They got two great acquisitions in Arozarena and Turner. We're not seeing Julio Rodriguez or JP Crawford. And still, they have enough talent to put up runs on the board. This is a talented Mariners team. It was never going to be easy. And this is why I was so excited, because this lineup, with as cold, I guess you could say is the word, that the Mariners offense has been as of recent, that's not going to continue, especially as they make their way towards a playoff berth. But the pitching for this team, I mean, is there any rotation in baseball that's better than the Seattle Mariners? Someone tell me, because I don't think that there is. I don't think that there is. And it doesn't get any easier tomorrow with Logan Gilbert on the mound. Not at all. Let's get into this offense right now. And I have this slide right here, so we have a little side-by-side of what Bryce Miller was doing and throwing to stifle these Mets bats. Look at this pitch distribution. Look at the variety of pitches at his disposal. 7 different types of pitches were thrown today to New York Mets hitters by Bryce Miller. 87 pitches on the day. He could have definitely gone one more, but as Gary said in the broadcast, they usually don't stretch him out to 100 pitches for one reason or another. I guess they're trying to preserve him. And 87 pitches is all it took for a scoreless 6 innings. 4-seam fastball. The life, 95, 96 miles per hour. It almost looked like it was rising, but the law of physics tells you that a fastball, really, if you're throwing downward from a mound, it can't rise. But it almost looked like it was rising. That's why they say it's a rising fastball, because it has that type of deceptive motion to it. But beyond just the fastball and changing the eye level of hitters, right? And Francisco Lindor, actually every New York Mets hitter at this rate, right? You even saw with Brandon Nimmo. Bryce Miller was throwing that 96 mile per hour heater at their chest, at the chest level. Very hard to catch up to. Very hard to catch up to. And not many Mets hitters in this lineup did tonight. But beyond that, once you get down on the count, right? This is why I said I preach, if you get strikes early in that bat, the process is to swing early, because once you get down 0-1, 0-2 against a guy that has 7 different types of pitches to throw at you thereafter, you put yourself in a very tough situation. Split finger, the splitter was phenomenal for him. The sinker, or not sinker, sorry, the cutter, he only threw it twice. But just the fact that he has that in his back pocket is absolutely insane. But really, like I said, the splitter and the slider is what really impressed me about Bryce Miller tonight. And it almost seems like any single pitcher, every single pitcher that has a knuckle curveball in their arsenal that goes up against the New York Mets bats and the New York Mets lineup automatically finds success. I don't know why every single time I go to Baseball Savant and I see an opposing pitcher going up against the New York Mets and they have a knuckle curveball, I'm like, oh boy, we're in for a ride. So yeah, it was a less than stellar, less than impressive performance from the New York Mets bats. Brandon Nimmo, I'm not even sure if I had this updated, but I think Brandon Nimmo is 1 for 2. He did have a double. Jesse Winker in the 3 spot, couldn't follow up any success in that middle game or from that middle game in Colorado. Pete Alonso back to looking like he's lost. JD Martinez, it was good to see JD Martinez. I will say this. It was good to see JD Martinez take that ball in the last at bat. I understand it was garbage time, but that is vintage JD Martinez. Banging a opposite field double off of the wall. He trusted in his bat early in the count on a fastball and drove it the other way. His first couple of at-bats tonight did not mimic the approach that he took into his last at-bat. So hopefully that's a sign of what's to come out of JD Martinez. Mark Vientos gets it started with a double down the line. But inevitably, when the Mets have their best scoring opportunity in the 7th inning, as soon as Bryce Miller exited the ball game, Vientos comes up, first and second, nobody out. And it's a double play that at the time the Mets were only down 2-0. It just deflates the entire rally. And they bobbled that ball around. I mean, Mark Vientos is slow, but I didn't know he was that slow, man. They bubbled that ball like 3-4 times. So all in all, I wish I had more analysis on the New York Mets lineup and the New York Mets bats, but I don't. Like, I would love to forget this game. Other than Jeff McNeil, who continues his hot stretch in the second half, as Carson from Mets Weekly, the Mets Weekly pod always says, he's finally pulling baseballs. If you know me, I'm not a proponent of pulling everything, but Jeff McNeil, certainly when he's pulling the ball, is a much different hitter than what we saw in the first half of the season. So that's a good sign. But this is a game to forget if you're the New York Mets. This is simply a game to forget. Like I said, guys, it is officially past 1 o'clock in the morning. I haven't done a stream on this channel past 1 o'clock in a long time. So if you're up here with me, whether you're on X or YouTube, about 32, 33 of you all, I appreciate it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. Let's get into some of the comments because really I'm here for you guys. I'm really here for you. I know that a lot of people are upset after a game like today. I will say we need to just take a step back and realize that it's okay to have these games against good pitchers every once in a while. The New York Mets have been doing fantastic against elite starting pitchers. And I will say, outside of maybe Dylan Cease this season, I can't think of a more talented pitcher. Yes, that's including Garrett Cole. With this type of stuff that he possesses and the type of season that he's having, right? I don't think that we've seen a better pitcher this season outside of Dylan Cease maybe than Bryce Miller. But we will tomorrow, and I'll get into Mr. Logan Gilbert here in just a second. Daniel Cap saying, once Quintana couldn't recover in the 7th, I knew he was done. Ricardo saying, Nimmo has been terrible since the All-Star break. I'm sorry I said it. Alvarez is a strikeout machine. Francisco Alvarez, definitely, they were talking about it on the broadcast. Todd Zeal and Gary Cohen were talking about how he just looks like he's timid up there, right? Alvarez, we talk about Alvarez and JD Martinez slumping at the same time, and they both just look timid. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. That's gotta cease to exist. You cannot be timid up there, especially against these good, these elite starting pitchers that you're going up against. Ray saying AWOL offense. Ugh, yes, that is literally my sentiment. I feel you exactly what you're saying. That's why I said most consistent part of the Mets has been starting pitching despite walks and lack of length. Darren, you would be correct. They have been the most consistent over the course of this season, 100%. Peter saying, yeah, Bryce Miller was on it. I don't know why Quintana was still there in the 7th, but Otto can't talk anymore. He needed one single out. Yes, Adam Ottavino. I don't even know what to say. There's nothing left to say. You either see what's happening and unfolding right in front of your eyes, whether you're watching this team live, right? Because there's a lot of Mets fans I saw in the stands out there in Seattle, or on your screen. But if you're in denial about what you see from Adam Ottavino, then I can't help you. Yep. Knuckle curve is the Achilles heel, 100%. That and the splitter. I will say the splitter does give the Mets a tough time, but the knuckle curve is one of those pitches that are up there. If the opposing pitcher locates it, right? If he's able to be even anywhere near the strike zone, it gives the Mets hitters problems. And there's only a handful of pitchers in this league. Yes, sorry, MEZ. I did a completely blank. Paul Skeens was definitely okay. Skeens, Dylan Cease, and then Bryce Miller. I apologize. I forgot about that game, by the way. Yeah, but Ray, 100%. That there's not many pitchers that possess that knuckle curveball, but when they do, I'm like, this is going to be a rough one. A rough one. Man. Yeah, so like I said, Mets offense was, I mean, it was brutal. You got to come back and bounce back tomorrow. The reason why I say you can forget about this game, but at the end of the day, you can't, right? You have to think about it in the back of your head in making adjustments for tomorrow, because imagine how good Bryce Miller has been this season and was tonight, right? You're going against a pitcher tomorrow in Logan Gilbert who's been even better this season. And he's coming off of an outing against the Philadelphia Phillies, only surrendering one earned run over 6 innings. So the drop-off in talent from any of these 3 pitchers that are going to be going for the Mariners in this series, there's no drop-off. There's really no drop-off. Keep dropping your comments in the live chat. Like I said, we'll have a discussion here. I really want to just do like a little bit back and forth here with you all. If you're catching the replay, if you're over on X, come over to the YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Drop those comments. I'm very curious. This is not a time to panic if you're a New York Mets fan. I knew going into this series, I knew going into this pregame that I did, right? If you missed it, make sure you go check that out. I was not shying away from the fact that this was going to be a very tough test on both sides of the ball, pitching and hitting for this Mets team. This Mariners team is no joke. And so, of course, we have to analyze what the Mets put in front of our faces with their performance tonight, but we also have to assess, right? To MEZ, you love this saying. We have to see what this team does against better competition. Now this is better competition. As Gary said, this is not the Rockies. This is not Colorado anymore. This is Seattle, and they are going to be in the playoffs, and they will probably win a playoff series, especially if they make it in that wild card, because they're neck and neck with the Astros, who are also surging right now. Got to beat the good teams. So, yeah, like I said, the only thing worthy of note from the Mets lineup today was probably that situation. First and second, nobody out. Jeff McNeil gets the hit. JD Martinez gets to walk. I think it was vice versa, but you know what I mean. Mark Vientos comes up to the plate and grounds into a double play. The weak contact is definitely a concern with what we just saw from Bryce Miller. He induced about 9 weak ground balls, or 7 or 8, between 7 to 9 weak ground balls tonight. And that's been a common theme that I've been noticing from this Mets lineup as well. And it was very evident in the first 2 games in Colorado, is that they are hitting the ball in the ground, or they're hitting ground balls at a higher rate than I would like for them to. So that's a little bit of a concern of mine. Something of note. So it's a scary rotation, Junior. It's a scary rotation. Chris Sale also up there with Skeens and Cease, 100%. 100%. Daniel's saying 3 reasons we lost. 1 bats, 2 Quintana pushed too long, and 3 Ottavino is shot. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make the case that Jose Quintana was definitely stretched a little bit too long in this ball game. I won't push back on that, but at the end of the day, he pitched a hell of a game. I also, on the flip side, am fine with keeping him out there because he did pitch so well. But if you're going to pull him, right, in that situation, why is Adam Ottavino going into that game? And I guess it didn't really matter because they were already down 4-0 at that point, and that was a little bit more insurmountable than 2-0 was before that kind of like nail in the coffin base hit that they got, the bottom of their order. But yeah, Adam Ottavino cannot be in that game. He can't be in any games as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry. He cannot be in any game. So these are your updated wildcard standings. The Padres do get the win today. These are some notes from around the league. Padres and Diamondbacks continue their hot streaks. They do win today. The Padres, I mean, they've won 3 games, as Gary said. And I've been keeping up with all these games that they've been playing. In the Pittsburgh series that they just finished up, and now in their Marlins series. Back-to-back-to-back games where they go into the 9th inning trailing. They somehow tie it, and then they win the ball game. That's back-to-back-to-back games that they've done that. Absolutely ridiculous. So I'm not as worried about the Padres as I am the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't think the Padres are cut like that. I don't. But the Diamondbacks, they're a little bit of a different breed. And the Diamondbacks also, I believe this was the second game of his career, but I believe their catcher hit the walk-off for them today in his second game of his career. So they got everybody contributing over there. But yeah, like I said, ugly game. I mean, I don't really have, like, if you watch this game, how long do I have to go on this stream to just tell you all what you already know in terms of what we just watched, right? I mean, we sat here and looked at what Bryce Miller was throwing. And like I said, hats off. Hats off. My hair's messy. It's rough. I understand that. I got to do it. It's like bedhead, hat hair, whatever. But like, hats off to Bryce Miller. Hats off to Bryce Miller. What at this point, with 7 pitches at your arsenal, changing the eye level, using the splitter in such a phenomenal fashion, I can't, like, you have to put some blame on the Mets bats, but at the end of the day, realistically, what do you expect them to do? I guess have a little bit more of competitive at bats is the bare minimum to ask. But when you have a guy that was clearly feeling it out there, had command of all of his pitches. I mean, what? He walked one batter, which was JD Martinez very early on into the game. He was around the strike zone the whole night. Not much this Mets lineup could have done. Right? I mean, sometimes in today's MLB, and I hate to say it because I am on board with the offense and I'll always take hitters' sides over pitchers, but the electricity and the sheer just like pure stuff that some of these pitchers possess in today's MLB, it's a hard game, and it makes it that much harder to go out there when you're feeling the way that Bryce Miller was feeling tonight. So, like I said, sometimes you just got to tip your cap. It was bad at bats at the end of the day. I'm not going to hide that fact. Like, they were taking bad at bats, but you got to tip your cap. Francisco Lindor. I had a good time watching the in-game live streams of multiple content creators today. POSTGAME, Shane Sons, and Blunt Thoughts. But I really liked what I heard, especially from Keith and Shane Sons, is that the Lindor at-bats from Bryce Miller. Did you all take a look at those Lindor at-bats versus Bryce Miller? He was overmatched on those fastballs. Bryce Miller was throwing it at the very top of the strike zone, right at the letters to Francisco Lindor, and Francisco Lindor had absolutely no chance of catching up. Sometimes it's just like that. There's no other really way to put it. So neck hurts from all that scoreboard watching. 100%. 100%. I'm always on top of it. I'm always on top of it, especially in this close of a race. Especially in this close of an NL wildcard race. Junior saying he disagrees. At 4-0, Mariners might still use a better reliever in there. At 6-0, they are using a lesser pitcher. I'm trying to think of what I said. It's late, Junior. Can you remind me of what that's in relation to what I just said? I'm assuming that relates to Quintana and being pulled early versus staying in the game. So remind me. I'm blanking. It's one of those nights, guys. It's 1:15 a.m. I was heavily debating doing this stream or not, but I had to show out for you all. I had to show out. Can't duck the L's. I really wanted to just tell you all how good Bryce Miller was pitching today. That's really what I wanted to tell you guys. CP, Padres have won 15 of the last 17 games, brother. I know. They're playing phenomenal baseball. I'm still not as worried about them because their bullpen, even with the addition of Tanner Scott, hasn't been great. Especially what I saw out of that Pirates series. They look abysmal. But yeah, no, I hear you. 15 or 17 at the end of the day. 3 games in a row where they come back after trailing in the 9th inning. It's hard to argue with. Hard to argue with. Yes, Ray, all of these graphics come from Baseball Savant. I just pull them off of their page, give credit in the description, all that good stuff. But you guys can go ahead. I don't make these graphics. What you see on the screen, I don't make those graphics. Those come from a website. And you all are more than welcome to go and look at it yourself. Baseball Savant, and then type in whatever pitcher you want. Or hitter for that matter. They have hitters as well. Nah, Ricardo, they're not cut like that. I'm sorry. They're not cut like that. I hear what you're saying with the record, but if you actually watch their games, especially what's been going on recently, I mean, I hate to boil it down to luck, but at the end of the day, luck has been on their side a couple of games here recently. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that I fear the Diamondbacks more than the Padres. That's really what I'm trying to get at. And I agree with you 100%. This is a great point. Giants are also playing phenomenal baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals also just beat a fantastic Royals team in Kansas City. An under the radar, I guess, in terms of their talent that they possess on their roster in the Royals. We all know they're led by Bobby Witt Jr., who's an AL MVP candidate this season. But the Cardinals just simply can't lose outside of that Mets game, right? So this isn't just the teams that you see on your screen here. And the Braves better get it together as well because they just lost in Colorado 6-5. Jorge Soler hit a game-tying home run and they surrendered the lead right back after that. So this is Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets, Braves, Giants, and Cardinals are also right there. I said 4-0 is basically over. Yeah, I hear you what you're saying now. I remember that. At that point, because I honestly was thinking at that point that Bryce Miller was still in the game, but I forgot they pulled him in the 6th inning after only 87. So, but it was a golden opportunity in this game that the Mets squandered in the 7th inning. It was infuriating because it's like in these games, especially against starters where you have a opportunity, like they blessed you, right, with pulling him from the game. And the Mets have been getting kind of lucky at that recently, especially in that Colorado series. Injuries happen to the starting pitcher, and you're able to face the bullpen a little earlier than you would have anticipated, and you can't take advantage of the opposing team's bullpen. So it's a little frustrating for me to see that. Let's talk about tomorrow, guys. Enough about today. Let's talk about tomorrow. Because like I said, if you all think you saw something tonight from Bryce Miller, I hate to break it to you. The guy throwing for them tomorrow has been better. Logan Gilbert versus Sean Manaea. Sean Manaea, first off and foremost, big Sean Manaea fan. Very happy to see him have a bounce back year. And he is certainly, right? I've said it in multiple streams on the Sean Manaea breakdown that I did a couple days ago, right? Where I kind of went over his mechanical tweaks, his pitch selection tweaks, establishing the four-seamer and the sweeper and abandoning the changeup. He's going to get a bag. I hope it's with the Mets, but he's going to get some money. He's going to opt out. He's only due $13.5 million. The starting pitching market in these past couple of off seasons have been insane, and I expect the same this coming off season. And Sean Manaea right now is just pitching on a different level than what we are accustomed to seeing him, especially in years prior. But Logan Gilbert, again, you pull the Savant page. He is in the upper echelon of what you see on the left here in a lot of advanced metrics. A lot. He induces swings and misses at a high rate. He's got great run and great tail on his pitches. And I will go over those pitches because guess what? You think that you can escape the splitter that was being thrown to you tonight? Guess what? The guy going for them tomorrow and Logan Gilbert also has that splitter. But it's his best pitch. Logan Gilbert, opposing hitters, expected batting average and batting average in general are hitting just over 100 on that splitter. 100. Not 1,000, 100. So it's there's no drop off in talent level with this Mariners rotation. I mean, all you have to do is just see red on the Savant page. You go look down at what he has in his arsenal. Guess what? Another guy that possesses 5 to 6 different pitches that he can utilize at any given moment. Splitter. He has a slider as well. He has a sinker that emulates that two-seam fastball. So if you guys don't know, by the way, right, some, I guess, pitching lessons here. Your cutter from a righty will tail outward. It'll mimic almost a slider. It'll be like tighter than a slider, right? A slider will have a lot more run to it, a lot more movement to the opposite side of the batter's box from a righty to a righty. The sinker is a great pitch, especially in addition to a four-seam fastball, because the four-seam fastball is straight like you saw from Bryce Miller tonight, but a sinker will tail in to a right-handed batter, right on their hands. Right in their hands. So there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of run on these pitches that the Mets see. And if there's something that I'm not confident right now, all in all, is that these guys that possess these sinkers, these cutters, these sliders, these splitters that move quite a bit, right? The Mets will swing at it right now. They don't have the discipline to not swing over the top of it. And it's hard at the end of the day. It looks like it's coming right into the middle of the strike zone, and it drops right in front of the plate last second. It's a very, very tough task for the lineup. But they're major leaguers, and they get paid to do this. I just get paid to talk about it. I'm just kidding. I don't get paid. I wish I did. But I have fun with it, at least. I have fun with it. Yeah, guys. Very tough task tomorrow. Logan Gilbert versus Sean Manaea. 8-4, 3.30 ERA for Sean Manaea versus 6-8, 3.05 ERA for Mr. Logan Gilbert. Richard saying Padres don't even have Yu Darvish in there yet. Ricardo saying Mets played both of them well. They split 2-2 with the D-backs and swept the Padres 3-0. That was like, it seems like an eternity ago. Those two teams and the Mets aren't even the same team anymore. So I'm curious to see what happens this time around in the latter part of August, just in a couple of weeks. So that's what we got going on tomorrow. But like I said, I'm going to leave you all with this. Adam Ottavino, Ricardo might have said it best in the chat, might have just sealed his fate in terms of what's going to happen when a guy like Reed Garrett gets back, when a guy like Sean Reed Foley gets back. He might have just sealed his fate with what he did tonight. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. The Mets are now 61-55 on the season. The Mariners improved to 61-56. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sure it's a 9:40 p.m. start. There's actually no day games this weekend. The Mets get Sunday Night Baseball, 7 p.m. on Sunday. We got a 9:40, another late one tomorrow. Not as late as 10:10 like tonight, but still albeit late. Probably will do a pregame and a postgame, so be on the lookout for that. And I'll probably just be talking a little bit more about this with Logan Gilbert because there's really not much else to talk about unless we're talking about this lineup once it's posted and what they can do to potentially mitigate having a repeat of what happened tonight. So like I said, guys, True Mets Talk postgame in the books. Got to forget about this one. Got to make the proper adjustments and forget. Go out there tomorrow, even the series, and hope for a series win on Sunday. Still have a lot of confidence and faith in this team. I simply do. Performance like tonight's not going to waver that. There's still a lot of ball games to be played in this season, especially against teams that you're going to be directly competing with. Padres, Diamondbacks, Phillies, if we're talking about the division even being within reach. I believe it's 7 games now, if I'm not mistaken, after yesterday. And the Phillies lost to the Diamondbacks, so that remains at 7. A lot of baseball left to be played, a lot of adjustments to be made, and reinforcements for the bullpen coming on their way, but the lineup has to be more consistent. They have to figure something out, and we have to. Final thought here, we have to get these guys getting going. We have to get them going at the same time. This has to be a cohesive unit. We can't just have a few guys in this lineup carrying this team in different stretches of the season. It's not sustainable. Hit those thumbs up on the stream. If you're catching a replay, like I said, it's just approaching 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a love-hate relationship with these West Coast start times, but I'm here. I stuck it out. I appreciate you all in the chat that stuck it out with me. Hopefully, I was able to provide you a solid 40 minutes of a post-game to sort of explain how good Bryce Miller was and how just this game was a game to forget. So, see you all tomorrow. Make sure you're following me at CPNYSports. Like I said, make it next week to the giveaway announcement once we hit 900 subscribers on the way, helping us on our way to get to 900. And I'm starting to fumble my words here because it's so late and I need to get some rest. I've been running on fumes, guys. I apologize. Sleep is not something that I've been getting recently, and I definitely need it. So let's go Mets, like Darren's saying. Junior saying, hopefully Alvy gets it going. Have a great night to you as well, Ray. Thank you for the support from everybody. I appreciate it. We'll catch you all tomorrow. Let's go Mets, and let's hope for a different result tomorrow night in Seattle. Peace.
Thank you for watching the True Mets Talk podcast. Make sure you're tapping on that notifications button and checking out all the latest content on the channel.